This is KVUE News Daybreak.
An Austin man in police custody this morning after a house fire led to a SWAT situation. We'll explain what happened and how the incident came to an end.
And President Trump calling a meeting at the White House today. All 100 senators expected to attend. The national security topic he's expected to discuss.
Travelers could be looking at a big change. Electronics banned from entering the United States from certain areas could be expanding to other countries. We'll tell you what that's all about coming up. Good Tuesday morning to you, and thank you for joining us for Daybreak. 6 a.m. on the button. I'm Brian Mays.
And I'm Yvonne Nava. But before we check in with Anavid Reyes for a look at the roads, let's get a look at the weather with Erica Lopez. Are you talking about 90s today?
Yeah, but get this, close to 100 for some folks. That's the hill country, Austin, Texas. So central areas of our viewing area, close to 90 degrees. It's going to feel like 90, though, because we have a lot of low-level moisture because of this area low pressure funneling in from the Gulf of Mexico, that humidity. But notice things are pretty active across the nation. 3 areas of low pressure bringing in some winter weather concerns and bringing in some flooding concerns for them. As for us here, things are quiet weather-wise. It's just the temperatures that will be busy in terms of close to 90-degree temperatures this afternoon. Plenty of sunshine, though. Keep in mind, humidity will be higher than it has been the last couple days, so feel like temperatures are going to be very warm. Forecasted highs. Man, it's going to be scorching. Keep in mind, keep yourself cool and hydrated today. And Avita is keeping an eye on the roads this morning. What's the latest?
Thank you, Erica. Where we all monitoring some incidents up north of town towards Leander. There's a vehicle fire here at Black Sheep Hollow Trail and an accident at Lindman Lane at Cherry Hollow Crossing. So if you're trying to hop on 183, you might run into some problems there. Now let's go ahead and talk about your drive times. 183 southbound, 45 to Mopac, a 7-minute drive, 10 minutes, 45 to I-35 this morning. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you. Well, a man is in police custody this morning after a bizarre SWAT standoff in East Austin. It began as a fire around 9 last night on Willow Street near Cesar Chavez. Officials believe the man they have in custody this morning started the fire, then pointed a gun at a firefighter when they asked him to leave the home. Police say the man then barricaded himself in a room while SWAT officers entered the home. He did surrender around midnight, and police say he will most likely face charges. 2 other people were inside the house but were not hurt.
Today, top Trump administration officials will meet at the White House to discuss the ongoing crisis in North Korea. President Donald Trump saying the United Nations Security Council needs to have stronger sanctions on North Korea. As Stephanie Ramos reports, the president says the country's nuclear weapons program is a problem.
Tensions between the United States and the North Korean regime are still high and rising.
North Korea is a big world problem.
The situation in North Korea is set to be the big topic at the White House Wednesday, when all 100 U.S. senators take a trip to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Briefing them are the Secretaries of State and Defense, Director of National Security, and the Chair of the Joint Chiefs. Usually, it's the other way around. Administration officials travel to Capitol Hill to address Congress on foreign policy matters.
The Council must be prepared to impose additional and stronger sanctions on North Korean nuclear and ballistic missile programs.
On Monday, President Trump called on the United Nations Security Council to do more. Overnight, leaders from Japan, South Korea, and the U.S. met in Tokyo to discuss the same, as North Korea continues to threaten the United States with war, recently saying it could sink an American aircraft carrier in just one strike.
They have threatened South Korea and American forces in South Korea. They've threatened Japan. They've now threatened the west coast of the United States. This is a very serious issue for the United States, and I think it's one of the great priorities of our foreign policy to contain North Korea's nuclear power.
Overnight, a U.S. nuclear-powered submarine docked in South Korea, but it's not expected to take part in any type of naval exercise. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, Washington.
People flying from the UK to the United States may soon not be able to bring laptop computers on the fly. The White House looking at extending security restrictions on flights from Europe to the United States. No final decision, though, has been made as of this morning. Last month, a ban was put in place for some Middle Eastern nations.
Happening today, Austin Mayor Steve Adler will meet with Attorney General Jeff Sessions in Washington to discuss a variety of legislative issues. As KVUE's Corey Coffin reports, public safety will be the focus. Corey, good morning.
Good morning to you, Ivani. It's a very specific mission. Mayor Adler says his main goal is to address the issue of sanctuary cities. He's one of several mayors that will be around the nation moving into D.C. to take this trip, and he even published an op-ed about it. Adler begins his op-ed with an explanation. On Tuesday, he writes, "I'm joining a few mayors in Washington, D.C. to ask Attorney General Jeff Sessions what's turning out to be a complicated question. What exactly is a sanctuary city?" He goes on to say that he believes it's currently unclear. For instance, Travis County and Austin specifically don't fall under most current definitions of a sanctuary city. "We do comply with all federal laws about communication between government agencies. We weren't one of the cities to receive a letter from Attorney General Sessions last week demanding proof of that communication." And while Adler admits we don't comply with ICE detainer requests, he writes that requests are just that, requests, and holding undocumented immigrants without a warrant is purely voluntary. That's why Adler wants to clarify the term. He says none of the existing definitions seem to fit Austin. Yet back in February, during heightened ICE raids, our county had one of the highest arrest rates of undocumented immigrants in the country. Adler ends his article by stressing that, quote, "Asking local police to appear as federal immigration agents destroys trust. We know what keeps our city safe, and we're happy to share what we've learned," end quote. Now, the mayors participating are expected to give a public response after that meeting this morning. Meanwhile, Mayor Adler will be talking publicly once he's back in town tomorrow. Live in the newsroom, I'm Corey Coffin for KVUE News.
Corey, thanks. This morning, the local mother of a 4-year-old girl who says her daughter was assaulted at her elementary school now opening up about the investigation. Travis County prosecutors still looking into the alleged assault. The child's parents say it happened back in February when they dropped their daughter off at Boone Elementary School. The young girl was taken to Dell Children's Medical Center the same day. Medical records show there was trauma and the child suffered injuries related to sexual assault. The mother says she requested meetings with her daughter's teacher to explain the situation. So far, that has not happened.
I could not believe what I was seeing, and I was trying not to freak out in front of her. So beyond frustrated and heartbroken, just my hands are tied. And my daughter is only 4, and I feel like I am her voice. She and I need closure.
AISD did initially investigate, but the district's police chief admitted investigators made a mistake during the investigation, and the case was closed before officials got to see the girl's medical records. The mother of the young girl says the little girl's doing okay today, and despite what has happened, she is in good spirits.
6:07 is your time. All new this morning. Austin school members, board members I should say they're looking to fill the vacant seat on the board sooner rather than later. This decision came during a meeting last night following trustee Paul Saldana's resignation earlier this month. According to our partners at The Statesman, the district could post candidate applications as early as this week, and the public will be able to hear from selected candidates during public interviews by trustees. The board would vote in June to appoint the preferred candidate.
Former President George H.W. Bush will stay in the hospital for at least a few more days. President Bush has been at the Houston Methodist Hospital since April 14th. He was admitted then for a cough that later turned out to be a mild case of pneumonia. Back on Friday of last week, the hospital said he would be staying through the weekend to make sure he had a clean bill of health to travel to his family's home in Maine, but it appears to be taking a bit longer than expected.
A new video of a powerful earthquake that shook central Chile. Check out the terrifying moments. Fortunately, no major damage or injuries to report. A man captured this from his apartment and then posted it on Twitter with the caption, "There's always time for video." Now, look at our forecast with Erica.
All right, guys, it's a warm forecast. We're taking a look at your temperature change from the last 24 hours. So yesterday morning, remember, some folks were in the 40s and the 50s. This morning, we're anywhere from, say, 10 to almost 20 degrees warmer. than yesterday morning. So here's how your day is going to play out. Kicking your day off in the 60s, warming up very quickly with decreasing clouds into the mid 80s. But the hill country is going to be the hot spot today, close to 100 degrees. Mason, 97 is your forecasted high. Austin will be in the upper 90s, close to 90 degrees, but I think it's going to feel like 90 because of the increased humidity also. Here's a look at your KVUE photo of the morning. Patty Baker sharing this splendid sunrise. It was from yesterday, so she was enjoying her run yesterday. She might not enjoy it as much this morning as things are kind of stickier and warmer outside. But guys, I have your full forecast, also talking about the next chance of rain. I'll chat about that coming up later this morning. Back to you.
Erica, thank you. Okay, here's some news for those of you planning to win the lottery. A bill here in Austin in the state legislature has tentatively passed the House that would let you remain anonymous if you win $1 million or more in the lottery. The measure, though, still needs final approval before it is sent to the Senate. Tackling the important issues. Still ahead, we've all seen that video on the United Airlines flights.
And this passenger, remember, being dragged off the plane. Now the officer seen in that video is telling his side of the story.
And we've seen flying cars in the movies and on TV, but pretty soon you might be able to own one. It looks like that. The new prototype, the electric aircraft, we'll tell you about it straight ahead.
You dig it? You like it?
I'd ride that thing,
Yeah.
sure.